Hello there, fellow humans, and welcome to this video. And today I'm going to talk about the O47 because apparently no one wants this tank. There's now only 1 day and 2 hours left on the auction, but there are still over 3,000 left of this tank. So why is that? Now, the tank itself is quite meh because the armor doesn't really exist. Obviously, the turret is quite well rounded. You have a decent gun mantlet that can bounce off. However, the hull armor is just not really existing. So that's not really great. Now, let's talk about the gun then. What does it have something there? Well, not really. 2,200 DPM, 190 penetration, 225 alpha damage, decent accuracy, 80 degrees of gun depression. Again, nothing outstanding, nothing special, nothing interesting. Same with mobility. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just very much there. So I can certainly understand why no one wants to buy this thing because it looks weird and it doesn't really play that well, obviously, because for a premium tank, you want to have fun and you want to make crits, so there's no real point in buying this thing. However, if you encounter one, you might want to know how it works, so let's play some couple battles. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's get into a battle with this thing here, and obviously the main problem that it has is just it's not really good at anything, which doesn't really make it worth buying, because obviously as a premium tank, you want to have fun, you want to have something that you can play a lot, and you want to have something that is going to make you a lot of credits as well, because obviously if you play a tank for 10 games and then you just let it die in the garage, so it doesn't really work, even though it is very cheap as it is for like 4k gold or something like that. Just letting it rot in the garage doesn't really make sense when you still spent quite a bit of gold on it. Now, also, the people that bought T95 E6 are gonna know what I'm talking about, because I'm telling you, most of those tanks are just gonna die in the garage. So you don't want to have tanks like that. Sure, there are people that just recommend every single premium tank and whatnot, but that's not the point. You want to have 4 or 5 premiums that are good, that are enjoyable, that are fun to play. And because why would you buy the rest of them that aren't fun? You're just, at that point, you're just wasting money if you're not having fun with them and if you're not making credits with them. That's one of those two things. One of those tanks, you know, you can certainly have fun with them. You can also make it work if you're a good player. And if you're a collector, you might want to have it because it's a bit weird in terms of how it looks. But outside of that, there is zero reason to buying this thing in terms of a competitive, good, premium tank, because it isn't. So, see, take out the Dracula here. It's gonna be quite not easy, but still just the Dracula, so it won't be too hard, certainly, because, I mean, Dracula is an AOP, I already felt that, and it's also dead. Dracula is just a mediocre tier 7, and this is a mediocre tier 8, so that's what you get. Now, avoid the Yak Panther, ideally. Go for this guy, set on fire, ideally. 1.4k, that's pretty bad, but can't actually pen him anywhere. Very cool. But yeah. When you have to fire heat rounds and you can't pen anything with heat rounds, that's a bit weird, but that's Blitz, I'm afraid, sometimes. And especially a lot of these tier 8 medium tanks, like the Pilot as well, they just can't pen anything. They're not good at anything. They don't have anything that makes them worth playing, which means they're just going to die in the garage, even if they're cheap. You know, the Pilot very much suffers from the same fate, as it's there, it's not interesting, it's not good, doesn't make crits, so there's no point in getting it. Now, 2k damage, Borask is obviously having more alpha damage than I have hit points, which means he can kill me with one shot here, so I'm going to have to back off and see what I can do. Try to back off here, trying to stay alive, it's not that, should work. Now, he doesn't have any armor, he doesn't have any DPM, but he still has more alpha damage than me. He's gonna try to rush me. He's trying. He's not succeeding. Now I'm gonna go back down. I got the sphere over there for cover, and now we're gonna finish him off. Nice. Well, I mean, a decent game, could have been better. So let's get into a second one. So let's get into the second one here with the O47, which is, I mean, I don't know. He also has this legendary camo called the Phoenix, but doesn't really change much about it. It just makes it look grey and boring, which is what this tank is, so it fits very nicely. And to to be fair, why would you buy this tank when you can just get the Centurion and have a very similar experience as well? Or the FV301 and have a better experience. So, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Okay, now, obviously there's 3 of them over there, which isn't great. I probably should try to move in that direction as well. Because getting those 3 is pretty important, because if they're isolated and the rest of the team isn't in the city, which they seem to be, then pushing these 3 is very important. That's what you want to do. You want to, if a part of the enemy team is in the city, you want to just push the field, get the advantage, and then get the bad players at the end that are in the city. It's that simple, and if your team goes city, well, too bad, you're screwed. Most of the time, at least. Or more times than if you go field. Obviously, there is no universal solution to winning, but going field is going to make it a lot easier and a lot better for you. So do it. Don't go city. Ever. Especially not in a medium or light tank. In heavy, in certain situations it can work. In heavy is there to fight in the city. A tank like this doesn't belong in the city at all, because it doesn't have much armor, it doesn't have much alpha damage, you can't trade around corners, so why the hell would you bring it into the city? That's a very bad idea. Now, and that's also one of the reasons why no one will want this thing, because it just doesn't really work very well for the average player, because the average player isn't really that good at the game, obviously, and that's fair, but this thing needs a lot of skill to make it work, to extract the damage out of it, because it doesn't have anything outstanding about it. And that just makes it a bit boring. Now, there's 3 left here. He seems to either have very high ping or low game sense. Let's call it that. So that shouldn't be a problem. The IS-8 doesn't have a camo, which is also should work in our favor. Now, those little things that you can spot on tanks that can be an advantage for you. But yeah, see if we can get to 3k, that'd be very nice. It's obviously 3k in this tank is a lot harder than 3k in like a Scorpion G or a T-42, because in those you can just let the tank do its job. Here, you have to fight the tank to give you damage, which isn't really that cool, and if you're thinking about getting this tank just because it's cheap, I wouldn't, because most of the time you're just gonna leave it in the garage anyway and it's not gonna do anything, so yeah. But that's it for this video. You see, it can work. Most of the time though, for the average player, it doesn't, and that's the problem with it. And that's why you shouldn't want it either. So yeah, 047, it looks nice, isn't worth it. So people don't want it, and you shouldn't want it. Thanks for watching, see you for the next one. Goodbye.